What to sow in January. Well, this is my seed planner, which is going to be sharing right the way through this video. There's going to be snippets and then there's going to be full pages of it as well. And this really helps me to plan when to sow, what to grow in the beds, and hopefully when to harvest. Hello and welcome back to a real cold one today. It's midday and we are frozen still. It's been like this for the last 10 days. So it's time to get out the seed planner and to get out the seeds and start planning these beds, where I'm going to sow, what I'm going to sow, and start planning the beds, what's going to go into them as well. Because it's just too cold to be actually doing any work out here. Yeah, so this really is the ideal time to start planning. And what I've got is I've got a big spreadsheet that's got all the seeds on that I've got at the moment. You can sow them, when's the last date, when's the first date, and how long it takes. We've got germination time, how long it takes to harvest, spacing, plant depth. And what I will do with this is I'll do screenshots on it right at the end of the video, so you can come back to it and refer to it whenever you want. And I've also got a generic one, just basically covers celery, chard, courgette, chard and whatever else is on there. So first thing is, a lot of people are doing what you can sow at the moment. It's January, as you can see. For me, there's not much I can sow outside. So what you do need is heat. If you are going to sow, you do need heat. And this is one of the things I suppose I'll come to first is, say if you've got a 20 watt heat mat, is the cost of actually running that. So for a day, a 20 watt heat mat, that's 12p per day. And if you've got 121, that's 72p a day for running it, just that alone without any lights. So for me, I don't really use a heat mat except for probably in the next 4 weeks. And my one is the 13 watt Garland one. I've forgotten what it's actually called. Oh, Super 7 propagator. It comes with the tubs and that. And I've had that for about four years now. It's probably going to be the last year that I use this. So that's what I'm going to be using. So what can you sow? Right, so if I use this generic spreadsheet you've got on here, it's just very broad, so everything's just clumped together. We've got the temperature that is required for germination, how long it takes to harvest, spacing, and plant depth. And I've got exactly the same information, but broken down per each seed packet that I've got on this one. And here we've got aubergines, which you can sow now, cabbages spring, cauliflower for summer and autumn harvest, garlic if the ground is not frozen, melons, kale, lettuce, leeks, onions globe over winter, peas first earlies, peppers, chilies, and sweet peppers and tomatoes. Right, on to what I will be sowing. What I'll do is I'll just go through this generic list again. Aubergines, I'm not going to be sowing those. I'm not going to run the cost of the heat mats just for aubergines. I can go down to a nursery and buy those for £1.50 in May. So if I do have space in the greenhouse then I may go and get some of those then. The cabbages spring and the cabbage cauliflowers, again I won't sow those just yet, because what I want to do is actually complete doing those two beds together just to see what space I've got. So that's the only one I can't yet really plan. I've got it in my head, but I need to actually do it first. Garlic, well, we don't actually like garlic. I know that's sinful to say as a YouTube gardener, because everybody is planting garlic all the time. Right away from, when is it? September time. Everybody's got a video of planting out their garlic. So you can still plant out the garlic, but we aren't. And then you got melons. Well, again, that's another heat requirement, and we haven't really got the space to grow melons. Kales, well, we've got plenty of kales in the beds at the moment. And what I will be doing is going to show you what I'm going to be doing for the seeds that I'm not going to use this year. And then on the lettuces and the leeks, well, I did the leeks last year at this time, and to be honest, they didn't really work for me. They're still in the beds, and they just haven't done that well. And I don't know whether it was because I planted them or sowed them really early on. So what I'm going to do this year is wait. Onion globes, onion globe over winter. I will be sowing those. Let's have a look. Where are we? Onions. So on the onions, I've already sown the sensu, but I will be doing a one for the white star, the red aposta, and I should have somewhere the Bedfordshire champion. So this is what I do, is I have these two baskets, and this is what I need to sow in that month, and that's my little system. So I keep it down to a month, and I don't get too precious or don't get too worried if I've missed that month, because all I'm doing is then stress myself out, and I don't want to stress myself out. This is a hobby to try and grow as much as I can, but without the pressure of I must sow these seeds now. So that's what I'm going to be doing, is just sticking them into that basket, and hopefully in that month, this month January, I can get those sown. So what I will be doing for those onions is switching on the Garland Super a day early, so that takes a while to heat up. Like I say, it's pretty old, only at 13 watts. It's not the greatest of heat. And then I'll stick on the little tubs with the compost in, so that warms up nicely, and then start sowing the onions. So I've done the onions. Peas first earlies. Well, again, last year I did really early peas, and they didn't really come to much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it again. But on this, we've got them as possibly in March, and that's probably what I'm going to do for the peas first earlies. What have I got? Peas first earlies. So I've got Feltham first early dwarf peas, so they are just a real dwarf pea. So what I'm going to do with those is not put those in a bed, they're just going to go in a bucket, but that's in March time really. I think doing them early for me hasn't really worked. The only things that has worked is the tomatoes. I did a video last week on the tomatoes and why I'm going to be sowing them early in January, and I will do that after the onions have germinated. They'll be taken off the heat, and then the tomatoes will go on there. Now I know a lot of people don't do the tomatoes early, but I explained why I am going to in the video I did last week, so that'll be down below. And also the peppers, chilies and sweet peppers. Well, I'm only going to do on the chilies, peppers, chilies, sweet pointed chilies. Hopefully they're in here. I'll show my organisation. Yeah, I'm going to just do the gourmet jalapenos, and that's the only chili I'm going to do. I can go down to the local nursery and pick up habaneros. I think they had Trinidad perfume last time, baskets of fire, so I can do that in May. And I actually did it in August time this year, or last year, and it was just laden already with the chilies, and that's more economical for me to do that. So like I say, the only one I'm going to do is the jalapeno. What you can do with that is either just soak the seeds in wet paper towels. Again, when I'm doing the wet paper towel this early on, that method, I'll actually put that into a Tupperware box and also put that on the Super 7, just so the paper towel is warm, and just go watch that the paper towel doesn't dry out. Or you could try the tea stratification. But yeah, I think I'm going to do the wet paper towel method, and if it chits, then I'll stick them in the into the little mini pots then. Right, so that's the chilies done. I say I store my seeds in these envelopes. I find it really easy because I can actually keep the seed packets upright. So where are we? Peppers, radishes, pumpkins, sweet peppers, parsnips. So there we go. Right, so that's the generic list that I've got, and it's quite widely available, that is. Like I say, that'll be at the back end of this video. And then onto these. This is the more in-depth one with all my seeds on. And this has become pretty useful for me, and this is what I've been using for the last couple of years. So in, say, September time, I could scroll down, it's on Excel, I could scroll down and I realised that the rocket, where I could do another sowing. So I don't have to rush out and start sowing rocket. I've already got the rocket ready to go. Right, let's see what else I've got ready to go as well, if I can get in. Right, so these are the mustards that I've got ready to go, and the rat-tail radishes, which are a seed pod, and that's what I'm doing those for. And they're all looking pretty healthy considering it's so cold and frozen outside. These are the spinach mustards. I think that one's the Oscar, and they're all doing pretty well. And this is how that spreadsheet works for me, because I was able to look down and see it was the last time I could sow back in September time, and these have been in here since then, and I can plant these out as soon as it stops. As soon as it starts to thaw out, I can start planting more of these out. And these are just starting to get their first flowers, which, like I say, these are the rat-tail radishes, and they're for the pods. So I'm looking for the flowers on these. These are the mustards. That's frozen in there. These are the mustards, wasabina. So again, a nice hot one, which is ideal in this cold weather. It's still got snow on here, so there is no light coming in here. But I'm really pleased to see what condition these are all in. This is the broccoli leaf. This one I sowed just to see how it went. It's outside the time when it should have been sowing, but I should have space for those, and that is just a broccoli leaf. So it's just sown or growing just for the leaf. There's no actual head on it. That's one of the plants I'm really looking forward to harvesting off. These are the chards, and the golden one ready to go out. at some point once, like I say, the ground is not frozen. We've got spinaches and more wasabinas. So this is where that planner, that seed planner, really helps. Like I say, I just look down the month, and even if it was last month was the last time, I'll just take the risk because it's only a couple of seeds. And that's what I certainly did with these broccoli leaf. I think the last time is probably July, and I sowed these back in the end of August, but we'll see how they go. It's just a test, just to see what the flavour is of them. I'm pretty tempted to actually have a taste of them, but yeah, they're doing well. Right, it's nice to get back into the warmth. Okay, so that's how the seed planner works for me, and that's how I've been planning the last couple of years, just going through each month and seeing what I could actually sow at the time. So like I say, again, it'll be at the end of this video, so you can have big screenshots of it and you can take pictures of it, I suppose, if you want to. Right, so going through this, the rest of this, to see if there's anything else I've missed. Because like I said, this is all my seeds. That's just generic, and these dates that I've got off here are either from the internet or from the actual seed packets as well, or from what other people have said over the past couple of years. And then what I'll do is I'm going to go a bit more into depth on how I'm actually going to start planning the beds. So hopefully both of them will tie into these two baskets. This second basket I'm going to explain. One that's not on there is the broad beans, and I've got that down as not really in January. Now I know quite a few people are doing that, and it's down to the weather, how you're going to heat it, whether you're going to bring the seeds indoors to actually keep it warm. So that's down to everybody's preference really. I've got the cauliflowers on that one. Lettuces and herbs as well. I haven't got coriander down here. I've seen people do coriander and basil, but what I do with basil, I've given up. I did it last year really early, again on the heat map, because I had some space. I did it I think in January, and around about February or March I had a plant around about that height, which, you know, after 2 months of heat, that's how far I got. So for me, what I do now is I just buy one of the shop bought plants, you know, where it's got about 18, 20 seeds all in one. And I just split them out. Now I've done a short on that, and again, that'll be down below. I'm just promoting myself on this one, aren't I? And I've also got the video for that. I think I've still got that video still up. So that'll be down below if you want to see it. I split up a shop bought plant. First time I did it down to 18 plants. I was just overrun by basil. But that's a good way of doing it. And again, saving from having to do heat mat. I've got Chinese violet down here. That's a herb that I will be using more next year or later on in this year. What that is Chinese violet is, where have I got my herbs? There we go, herbs. The Chinese violet is, I use it more as like a lettuce leaf stroke spinach. It's been a couple of years since I've actually grown it, but you get these lovely flowers on it as well. So what I'm thinking with using that is in the actual gardens, in the actual garden beds, probably from July onwards. I've got to be careful with it, because if it does go to seed, it does spread. There's pictures on the internet of it, just whole borders all the way down the roads in China and various other places. So that's one just to be careful of. I've done it a couple of years back, overwintering in the greenhouse, and we just harvest the leaves there. Then that may be more the sensible option for that. Well, so we got coriander. Yeah, you can do coriander possibly in this time, but again, I'm going to be leaving that to March. I'm not really so much, am I? So lettuce, let's get down to here. Lettuces. Put that one back. Okay, lettuces, winter lettuces. I've got a whole variety of winter lettuces. Now, the only one I've got down for sowing in January is the little winter gem, and I may do a couple of those. I'll probably do a little bit on the heat mat if we've got space, but I may again just leave them. I'm going to put that in the month's basket, but the rest I can probably wait. I don't know whether we've got the little gem Maureen. When's that to be done? February. So a lot of my lettuces start in February. So yeah, just have to wait for those. But I don't really have to worry too much because I've got all the mustards, and like I say, the Oscar mustard, and what's the other one I've got? Mustards. Southern Giant, which is also a bit like a lettuce mustard. Right, so the next one on the list is pea shoots. This one is specifically for just grown for pea shoots. It's called 4019, and yeah, I can do those in January. I'll just do them in pots. I'll probably bring them indoors so they can properly germinate in here. But that's also the same for if you've got any saved peas that you're not too sure about what they are, you can start planting those up. Whether I will do it yet, I don't know. I don't think so, because I've got so much already in the greenhouse that I need to start emptying that out. So they may be February, but what I do on this side of this basket is these are the ones that to keep on reminding me. So every time I get the whole basket out, I've got what I need to sow this month, and then also what I can sow just to use up the seed. So any of my old seeds will be going in here. So that's the reason why I've got the two halves on this basket. Right, so yeah, pea shoots, any old peas that you've got, you don't know what they are, you don't know whether they're going to germinate, you can stick those in, but you still got to bring them indoors to get that heat, to get them going. So maybe just wait till February for those. Right, so I've actually gone through all the list now. The only things left is any plants, which possibly could be sweet peas, but again, I'm going to leave those at the moment because you're going to have to bring them inside, and I don't want to clutter inside too much. I'm under orders on that. So there we go, that's the list for January. I can start doing more of my sowing and growing series, which I did from February onwards last year, and I'll do that same this year as well. So on to planning. So what I'm going to do is start planning some of the beds. So the first bed is probably going to be my beetroot bed. Right, so the next part is about planning the beds. So this is going to be my beetroot bed. But what I'm going to do with these beds, this bed and the two nearest beds down at the bottom, I'm going to start rotating them. So this one's going to be a bit flexible, but at the moment it's just purely going to be beetroots. And then on this side, I'm going to be doing peas down here and the kales up here. So let's get back indoors. I'm going to start planning it. Right, so this is how I'm going to start planning. To start going through the beds, what I would like to sow in there. Once I've got a good idea, I'll start making notes, but also start going through then the envelopes where I store all the seeds. So that beetroot bed is quite a good example. That's why I've used it. So the beetroots, I've got all these seeds. Now what I want is 6 rows of beetroot, 3 per row, so all multi-seed. So what I want to do is to go through all these seeds that I've got, have a look which ones I want to use, and any that I don't want to use or old seed, I'm going to put them over here. So this is an old seed, chogia. What I'm going to do with those is that reminds me that I've got this seed that I want to use up in any space that becomes available. So in March, April time, I'm going to start them off in, say a 3 litre tub container, maybe say around about 20 seeds. And then hopefully I can start harvesting some nice baby leaf beetroot. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to do, is go through all these. I've got Golden Detroit. That one, I need to pronounce that one. Same with this one. I'll put it onto the screen. So that's 3 there. Bolt Hardy, Cylindra. It's like a cylinder. I've got over 1,000 seeds probably left. So what I'm going to do is put that in there to use up some of those seeds. And that means I can go shopping again at the end of this season. And then we've got Chogia and Pablo. Now Pablo, again, this is pretty old seed. It was packed in December 21. So whether any of those will actually come up, I don't know. But I'm going to put them in there. Like I say, that reminds me that I can use those up in any space possible. So like I say, it's going to be in a container March through to May, but around about May time, if I've got any space left in the beds, I'm going to heavily sow those and, like I say, just harvest them for baby leaf. Possibly beds that I've actually already got nets on, because the sparrows absolutely love the beetroot leaves. And it's also going to be the same for the kale. I'll just put these back in. It's going to be the same for the kale. Now, the kale that I want to grow this year, I only want to grow one. We've got 3 varieties out there at the moment. But after going through them, I'm thinking I'm only going to do one variety. And that variety is going to be the Dazzling Blue. So I've got plenty of packets of other varieties which we're not likely to actually grow again. I mean, that includes the Red Russian. We've got quite a few of those, the Cottage Kale, the Dwarf Green Curly Kale, more Red Russian, and another packet of Red Russian. So what I'm going to do again is put them in there. Now I'm not going to start sowing them. They're probably going to be round about the summertime. I'm going to start sowing them heavily again in little containers or in any spare space I've got in the beds, so I can start harvesting very baby leaf kales. Now it won't be microgreens. I want them a little bit bigger than that, because when you get them around about that size, I think probably that broccoli leaf is pretty similar to what size I want to get. So you got around about 4 or 5 baby leaves off there, and that's what I'm going to do, is just keep on harvesting off those leaves. And yeah, we'll see what we get. That's not just another new experience or a new try that I'm going to do. Yeah, and just Dazzling Blue, that's it on the kales. Right, similar to the beetroot and the kale, I've got a huge amount of radishes, the summer ones, and the winter versions. So again, I'm going to go through what I actually want to grow, because I want to grow quite a lot of radishes this year. Now the only one that's been really successful that we really liked was the Diana. So I'm going to heavily grow that one down in one of the beds with quite a lot of the kohlrabies, because I want to ferment all these radishes and give that a go. So I've got all these spare radishes, quite a lot of the French breakfast. I've got 45 grams of French breakfast there. I just don't know how anybody can actually justify sowing all those seeds. You're just going to have radish after radish, beds of them. So I need to use up quite a lot of that. So again, those will go into here, and any space I've got, especially during the earlier months in April and in May. Let's just have a look when we can sow them. So I can start sowing them indoors and outdoors in March, April and May, June, right the way through to, what's that saying, September. So any space that I've got for these radishes to go into, that's what I'm going to do. Now the French breakfast, the slugs love them. So I'm just going to try and find places where there's less slugs. It's the same for the sparkler and the Caro, I think that one is. So they're going to go in there again. Like I say, any space, they're going to get used up. And I may again do them in some pots just to try and protect them from the slugs. So maybe they'll be a bit raised. So yeah. So that's the radishes, and like I say, the only one I'm going to actually use predominantly in the beds just for cropping is the Diana radish. And it's the same for winter radishes. I've got a huge amount of them. What have I got? Better to take them out. I've got quite a few moolies which I will be growing later on in the season. But then I've got the black Spanish round, China rose, hailstone. Now hailstone is one for February right the way through to May. So using that, I can use that one as well. 3,000 seeds, so I need to start using those up as well. Yeah, we've got watermelon, which is the later one. Winter icicle, which is March right the way through to September, so I can use that one as well. 1,200 seeds. So again, they're just getting any space, they're going in there, and we see what we get. If I'm fermenting quite a lot of the Diana, any I get off these, I can chuck those in as well. And I think that's it. Yeah. So yeah, I've got, yeah, thousands of seeds there. That's the moolies. Wish I could probably do a few of those just anywhere as well. One of the moolies. They are March to April. So again, it's so easy just to keep on referring back to this rather than getting them out of these packets. These are all from Premier Direct, so you have to go onto the website to actually find when to sow them. So that's what I've done and put it all down on here. Right, so that's the radishes done as well. I'll slowly start to go right the way through all these, any similar ones to those radishes. Beetroots, they'll go in there as well, which I'm not going to use again. Right, so there we go. After this bit, there will be the screenshots of those, full screen, so you can take pictures of those if you want. So there's quite a lot of information on there, and hopefully it helps you planning for this year. So like I always say, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again. So here's the seed planner. I find it really useful, and hopefully you do as well. And if you have liked watching this video, if you skip to here, that's all fine. I just really appreciate if you could do a like and even a comment, and that would be really useful for me. So once again, thank you for watching, and here are some videos that you may also enjoy.